is my very first video and I am super excited. I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. And here I am. And I figured what better way to start than a WIP parade. Yeah, everyone loves a WIP parade. They're the best. So here I am. I was encouraged to start a Flosstube by the amazing folks that I met at the 2 retreats I've gone to this year, my first retreats. I went to Steel City Stitchers in March in Pittsburgh, and then I just got back from Stitch, New Jersey, and like I said, I've met so many amazing folks, including some great Flosstubers, and they really encouraged me to do this, so here I am. Like I said, my name is Allie. I live in Philadelphia. I'm 35 years old. I live with my adorable pit bull, Lucy, who you will probably hear at some point in this video. And yes, we did name her Lucy because she's always got some splaining to do. And I also live with my sweet, adorable, supportive boyfriend who, get this guys, he actually lets me watch Flosstube. Like when we're just hanging out, I'll like put it on the TV. I know, he's a keeper. As you've probably seen already, I'm filming this with a ring light. You can see it in my glasses. That's the price that you're gonna pay for hopefully good light and beautiful colored true images of my stitching, so we'll see. I might have said this already, but I started stitching back in 2019. I went on vacation with a friend who stitches, and I'm big into crafting. I've always loved trying out different crafts. I've always considered myself an artsy human. So when she was cross stitching, I asked her if she would teach me, and she agreed, so she did. And then I fell down the rabbit hole. She still stitches occasionally. She'll buy a pattern off Etsy and start stitching it, but nah, you guys, I went all in and I love it. This is one of the crafts that I've stuck with the longest. I think because it really appeals to both my crafty side and my collector side. I am someone who loves collecting things, and they tend to be colorful things, and cross stitch is just perfect for that. So yeah, I am a queer woman. I am fat. I am neurodivergent. I believe that Black Lives Matter and that people of color in the United States are unfortunately and sadly subject to years and years of trauma and oppression that have been woven into the systems and structures that make up our society. I think that is something that needs to be addressed and rectified. I believe in science. Yeah, if you have a problem with any of those things, then this might not be the channel for you. I'm not someone who uses a ton of spicy language, but every now and then it slips out, so slight content warning, I guess. There's no spicy language in any of my WIPs, but you never know. So like I said, this is my grand debut on Flosstube, and I am going to be filming a WIP parade, because we all love a WIP parade. I counted the number of WIPs I have. I think it's like 20 something. As many people have said, you're allowed to have as many WIPs as you want. You can have 2, you can have 20, you can have 200. That's great. I don't know about you, but I actually find some people love to start things, and I actually find that starting things gives me anxiety. I think because when I'm starting something, I really want to make sure that the measurements are right, that it's like in the right spot on the fabric, and so whenever I start things, I always feel like really nervous to put that first stitch in. So I think that's why my number of WIPs is a little lower than some people's. I'm pretty sure I have like at least that number of things kitted up waiting to start. But I definitely feel a little nervous when I'm starting and just making sure it's in the right spot. It's like a terror of mine that I will start something and then it will turn out to be like the wrong size fabric, or I started in the wrong spot and I'm gonna run out of room. Okay, so let's get to the WIPs. Also, just a note, I apologize for the sound quality of this. I'm just recording it on my iPhone with a ring light. I am hoping to get a better microphone for next time. I know it's probably a little quiet and fuzzy, but hopefully you can bear with me, put on your captions if that's an option. And yeah, it's my first video, so I'm learning as I go along. Okay, so I am going to start with a group of WIPs that I have started in the past that for one reason or another I'm not really actively stitching on. There's a few of those for a variety of reasons, and I have 5 or 6 of them, and they're not things that I necessarily want to UFO just yet, but I am taking a break because there's other stuff that I would rather be stitching on. So the first piece that I'm going to show is actually a piece that I started recently. This piece is from the Earth Day bundle that the Stitchers Collective put together. This bundle was an amazing charity bundle. There are a ton of awesome patterns in here. And I started stitching this one because I actually really wanted to use this certain floss that I have. And so this piece is Gaia. And this is by, oh gosh, I don't know how to pronounce this. Catornion Creations. And here, I'm gonna insert a photo here. I'm gonna hopefully insert photos of all of my WIPs so that you can see what the piece is supposed to look like when it's done. So just assume, hopefully that'll pop up as I go along. Like I said, first time video, still figuring it out, but we'll see. So this is Gaia. I started this on vacation recently, and here she is. I have her on a long piece of oatmeal Aida. Sorry if the focus goes in and out a little. Like I said, I'm new to this. And the floss that I'm using on her is a silk called Marine by Dyeing for Cross Stitch. Here it is. It's a gorgeous like teal to blue color, and it is a silk. And I just love the feel of it. I love how it's stitching up on the Aida. I took that on vacation. I started it while I was on vacation recently, and now I'm just taking a break because there's other stuff that I am working on, but I definitely want to go back to stitching her. I think she'd be a great piece to bring with me when I'm going away or something like that. So definitely holding on to her. The next piece is, this is a start of one of the peccadillos by Long Dog Samplers. And this piece is, I think, Quick Fling. Hang on, I have notes. Let's see. All right, my notes say. Yes, this is Quick Fling by Long Dog Samplers. This is on a piece of Aida, 16 count Aida. It's a one of a kind by Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And I'm stitching it with Sulky 1030, I think that's periwinkle. This piece is on break because I'm actually not loving stitching with the Sulky. The stitches look nice, and I like the color on the fabric, but I'm just like not super into it right now. And again, there's other stuff I'd rather be working on. Alrighty. Sorry for the weird coughing fit. Pause the video there so you didn't have to listen to that. My next little start, this is a tiny start. I will say, I have a very firm belief that one stitch counts as a start. If you put a stitch in it, you started it, it counts. I do tend to like to do more than one stitch, so that way when I pick it up again, like I know what direction to go in, but one stitch is a start. And that matters on this piece because I think I have about 10 stitches. I'm also not sure which the top is. This is a tiny little piece of winter fabric. I believe it's even weave, and I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it has like a bit of sparkle to it. And this is a start on Fleur de Lis by Ink Circles. And The floss that I'm using for that is actually a Cottage Garden threads floss called Passion Flower. So here is the floss. I love the variegation on Cottage Garden threads. They're great to stitch with. The way they package them, you can just pull the thread right off of the package. And I chose these colors because the fleur-de-lis is a symbol of New Orleans, and these colors really reminded me of Mardi Gras and fun. So I'm looking forward to getting back to stitching that. I'm just gonna stitch the whole piece in this variegated floss. The next piece is a fun Etsy pattern called Bless This Mess. I'll have to look up who it's by. I'll put it on the screen. But like I said, I got it on Etsy. I absolutely love stitching up the words. But I stalled a little bit when I got to the wreath. I don't love the flower design, although I do really love the color palette for this. It's like really rich jewel tones. So here's what I have so far. Bless this mess. I love the saying. You can see that this is a little earlier on in my stitching because I'm stitching it on, I think it's 16 count Aida. And you can see that I was gridding the fabric. And I like started the flower and I thought it looked kind of weird and flat. I don't know. I do want to finish this though. I like love the saying. I think it'd be fun to have up. I will say this too. I am terrible at fully finishing things. I never do it. I don't like it. So I have like a whole stack of finished pieces waiting to be fully finished. A couple of them I do want to get professionally framed, and I'm sort of figuring out if I want to send them out to someone or if I want to find someone local who does needlework framing. I'm not sure yet. But eventually I do want to put this in a hoop and hang it up. Also, if you see weird pauses, I just had a cold, so I might pause sometimes to cough. Sorry about that. I'll be back. Alrighty. So the next piece I'm going to show you is Quilt Sampler by Carolyn Manning Designs. I really love her designs. I own several of them. I've started two, this one and another one you'll see. My thing with Carolyn Manning is that they are gorgeous and they are full coverage and they big. I started this a while ago, like pretty close to when I started stitching. This is on 18 count white Aida with the called for DMC. I did make one modification. The border is supposed to be a variety of colors, and instead this is just 939 because I wanted to do one color in the border. As you can see from the piece of fabric, which is basically cut to size, I am not very far along on this. Although of course I'm pulling it out and looking at it, like I love the color palette, I love the quilt patterns. I'm a sucker for quilt patterning in cross stitch. I have several like quilt star patterns and other sort of quilting style things. And looking at it now, I really want to get back to it. And also I know how long these patterns take because they're full coverage. So yeah, maybe I'll pull her back out again. But definitely not UFOing that. I do want to work on it at some point. And I would love to finish it. Alrighty, next up we have it's called Sampler Number 4 by 2x2 Stitch Art on Etsy. I call this the blue mandala because it is a symmetrical shape all around and I'm stitching it in blue. I am stitching this on 18 count white Aida in DMC 825. I keep looking down because I have notes on a pad in front of me, by the way. So here it is. This piece of fabric is cut to the size that I would need for stitching the whole piece. So you can see I'm in the middle. I finished like the middle section, then there's that little border that I'm doing, then there's another ring, then there's another small border, and then there's an outer section, so I have a lot to go. I honestly might just finish There you go, you can see it nice and big. I might just finish that section and call it a day. It will look finished if I just finish stitching that border, so I might do that. I'm happy to have the pattern. I love like the other motifs, it's a lot of stitching. My original intent was to give this to someone as a gift. I no longer work with that person, so I guess I'll keep it for myself, but it's very enjoyable to stitch. I like stitching monochromatic patterns, so I've been enjoying it. It just is huge. And then my last piece that's on a break is the Halloween wreath, which you've all seen, I'm sure, by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I bought the kit, so this is 14 count Picture This Plus Ada in pewter with the called for DMC. As you can see, I did not get very far on it. I did a teensy little start. And I was enjoying stitching it. I like made a small mistake on the windows, but whatever. However, I really do like Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. But when I saw the first section of the wreath, I don't love the way the background of the wreath is being filled in. I feel like the items on the wreath blend in too much with the background. So I'm still trying to decide if I want to just stitch the wreath items and then back stitch them, if I want to like somehow deconstruct the pattern. I'm not sure yet. But I do enjoy stitching on it. The other thing I will say is that I tend to be attracted to patterns with a ton of colors and color changes. But actually, what I really enjoy stitching on is not necessarily stuff with a ton of color changes. I just love the way it looks in the end. So I think part of it is that this is quite a few colors. Each section is quite a few colors. So there's my start. This is the one piece that I actually might UFO or maybe give away. I don't know. But I'm hanging on to it until I decide. Alrighty, so now we're gonna get into the pieces that I'm actively stitching. These are all things that I am super excited about, that I want to get finished. I wish I had 8 octopus arms to stitch on them all the time, honestly. And yeah, if you have any questions about colors, etc., if I forget to say it, leave them in the comments below. All right, so first piece that I am going to show you. I'm also, on these I'm vaguely going from oldest start to newest start. I don't exactly remember the dates on a lot of them. I don't keep those kinds of stats, but they're generally from oldest to newest project. So my oldest WIP is this. Ta-da. This is I believe it's called Mini Cities by Satsuma Street. As you can see, I must have started this like pretty soon after I started stitching because I gridded the fabric and cut it to size. This is on, I believe, 14 or 16 count regular white Ada with the called for DMC. There are 2 versions of this pattern. One is each city stitched separately, and one is all of them together. I'm stitching all of them together. This will be a gift for my niece and nephew, who now are 7 and 4 and live in New York City. I'm gonna backstitch their names on the bottom, so I'm excited about that. Honestly, it's fine. I don't love stitching it, but I want them to have it. So I try to stitch on it when I can push myself to, but there are a lot of things that I enjoy more. So it tends to not get the love that it deserves. I think I could probably finish it pretty quickly if I were to just do it, but we'll see. All right, next up is also another Satsuma Street piece. This is Ghastly Greetings. I love this piece. It is meant to be finished into a bell pull. I really enjoy Halloween. I am very much a cutesy, fun Halloween person, not a spooky, scary Halloween person, but I love Halloween. I like the colors, I like the vibe, I just think it's fun. So this is a Halloween piece. So hopefully there's a picture up here, and then here is where I am at. I got a piece of 14 count black Ada custom cut to be the correct size for this. This is, I think I might have said this already, but this gets finished into a bell pull, so it'll get finished sort of like this. This is super fun to stitch on, but I'm not that old, but my eyeballs get real tired, and so stitching on dark fabric is tough for me. So I really only stitch on this when it's like nice out and I can stitch somewhere sunny. So it doesn't get as much attention as I would like because I can only stitch on it during the day, and a lot of times I'm stitching like in the evening, sitting on my couch. I keep a couple of white handkerchiefs in the project bag, so that way wherever I'm stitching I can have a white background. If you are stitching on a piece of dark fabric, that is a pro tip because it has really helped. So yeah, that is Ghastly Greetings by Satsuma Street. All right, next up is another Halloween piece. I absolutely love this piece. This was a unicorn for me. I was super thrilled to get it. This is Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. This is one of the Hawk Run Hollow series. I initially tried to stitch this on 40 count. It drove me insane. I started it when I had never really stitched much on linen or even weave and I couldn't do it, but I did have a piece of 32 count even weave in the right size and the right color. So here she is, she big. This is the top, see the very top of my Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. I've done a block and a half so far. You can see I have my one stitch at a time needle minder on there to remind me that even giant pieces are one stitch at a time. I'm trying to do the border sort of as I go. When I need some easy stitching, I'll do the border. You can see, so like I said, this is on 32 count. I don't even think I can get far enough away from my camera to show you the whole piece of fabric. Let's see. Nope. Yep, see, she big. That is a fat half of Legacy even weave in 32 count by Picture This Plus. I have to say, even the even weave is pretty tight. I'm using 2 strands over 2, I'm using the DMC, and I can hear the floss as I like pull the needle through the fabric. I've heard folks say recently that Picture This Plus is pretty tight. I would agree with that. My experience stitching on this especially has been that. I've joked to my boyfriend that this is going to be my shroud. I hope that is not the case. I hope I can finish it and live to see it finished. I absolutely love it, but each block is 92 by 92 and some of them are full coverage. Each of these blocks is like over 8,000 stitches within the block. Obviously like this block is not full coverage, but this has to be, I mean, how many thousand stitches, right? So she's a lot of stitching, but she's worth it. It's worth it. It's such a cool piece. It's so much fun to stitch on, honestly. I'm like really enjoying the process. So that's great. I'm very much a process stitcher. I do want to see things done. I like enjoy the feeling of finishing a project, but ultimately for me, the enjoyment really is in stitching them. I think that's also why I'm not good at fully finishing things, because it's the experience of stitching them that I really want. So it's not as important to me to like get it done and get it on the wall. But I am really enjoying stitching that. I mean, I think I really enjoy all of my pieces. If I don't enjoy something, I don't stitch on it. I am very much a stitch what you want when you want stitcher. I like don't follow a calendar, don't set goals. It's like, if I feel like stitching on this thing, great, that's what I stitch on. If I want to stitch on the same thing for 17 days straight, cool. If I want to stitch 100 stitches in this thing and this thing and this thing, great. That's how I stitch. It's my hobby, it's me spending my time doing what I love, so I'm gonna do what I love. And that means following my heart to whatever piece it calls to. Which sounds like a very silly thing to say, but really it means I stitch on whatever I feel like. All right, next up is my one full coverage piece. I own several full coverage patterns, but this is the only one I've started. I picked the smallest one that I had purchased because I was scared. I love Randall Spangler. I really want most of the patterns that Haid has charted that are Randall Spangler patterns. I'm also very into Amy Stewart, as many people are. So this is a Randall Spangler mini. This is Mini Teacup Bath. And here is my start. I have the little top corner there of Mini Teacup Bath. I'm stitching it on 28 count easy grid or magic grid or whatever, even weave, 1/1 full cross. And I am not doing cross country or Royal Rose or parking. I literally just pick a color, I stitch however many stitches I can get in that section, in that color-ish. I finish out the thread and then I pick another color. So it's probably like the slowest possible way to stitch this, but again, it's about the process. I'm enjoying it. I love seeing the image emerge as I'm stitching it. It's really fun. I use Pattern Keeper for this, and it's great. It's gonna be great. It's actually gonna be pretty small. I think it's like 45,000 stitches, which you can see this piece of fabric isn't even that big. But yeah, we'll see if it ever gets done. If it doesn't, that's okay too. So my next piece is a piece that I'm actually really close to finishing. This piece is Move Forward in Love. It's the 2022 Pride Sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery. And Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery published 2 versions of this pattern. He did a colored version with like a bunch of DMC colors for the Pride flag, and then he also did a monochromatic version. I'm stitching the monochromatic version on the most amazing rainbow fabric. It's getting stitched in all DMC 310, and here it is. So this fabric is by the Stitchy Ferret. The Stitchy Ferret is absolutely incredible. She is a dyer who lives in England, and I'm obsessed with her. I have bought an embarrassing amount of fabric from her. I absolutely love her work. As you can see, like the depth of color that she gets and the pattern that she gets, it's just gorgeous. It's just really gorgeous. I have several pieces of rainbow fabric by her, and I save them and save them and save them until I find the right piece. And when this piece came out, when this pattern came out, I knew immediately that this was what I wanted to stitch it on, and it's just like, oh, it looks so good. I'm so excited. This is a piece that I really do want to get like up and framed on the wall, because like, oh, that rainbow is gorgeous. It was actually really nice at the retreat that I was just at. I was stitching on it and people kept coming up to me and asking me where I got my fabric. So the Stitchy Ferret, she has her own website, thestitchyferret, like the animal.com. I will try to remember to put it in the YouTube notes or whatever. And she is like the nicest. She's so easy to work with. Her stuff is super reasonably priced, and the fabric is just it's just gorgeous. This I think is 14 count Aida. This was purchased years ago as like a one-off that she put up for sale. I know I've talked to her recently and she said she can dye rainbow fabrics as customs, and she actually doesn't charge more than she charges for her regular fabric. So if you want a piece of rainbow fabric, especially like, look at those purples, so good. Okay, so if you want a piece of rainbow fabric, the Stitchy Ferret, she's the one. Okay. Next up, I am going to show 2 of my 3 pieces that are in progress that are Mirabilia or Nora Corbett. I love Fancy Ladies, and I love Miras and Noras. I am going to the Queen City Stitch Retreat in October, which is Mirabilia and Nora Corbett themed. I own way more Mira and Nora patterns than I have started. I am pretty sure I will not be able to stitch all of them, even if I live to be 100, but for now, these are the pieces that I have started. The first one that I am going to show is actually almost done. This is Sea Witch, which is, I think it's one of the Bewitching Pixies. It's one of the Nora Corbett patterns. So this is Sea Witch. I have her on a scroll frame that like a cheap scroll frame that I brought off Amazon because I was having issues with the Q-snap putting marks in my fabric. And right now I am most of the way through the beading and everything. The only thing that's left is beading her tentacles. And this piece of fabric is actually a one-off mystery cut that I got at the Steel City Stitchers retreat from the Crafty U, which was the LNS that was there. And the minute that I saw this fabric, I was like, oh, something witchy has to go on this. And when I got home, I did a floss toss and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I initially was gonna put her on more of like an oceany colored fabric, but her on this is, oh, gorgeous. So there you go. I'm gonna bring her a little bit closer. I'm gonna come out of frame so you can see some of that beading over there. It's gorgeous. Hello? Let's see. Yeah, so all I have left, you can probably see some of the holes in the tentacles. That's where the beads are gonna go on there. And then I'm done. Unfortunately, you can see here, like I had her in a Q-snap and I got these weird marks on the fabric. I don't know what happened there, but I'm going to try to figure out how to get them out. I don't think I can wash this because it is a hand-dyed fabric. So hopefully I can like at least frame them out. I don't know. If you have any suggestions for getting those marks out, put them in the comments. But that's Sea Witch. She's almost done. She's so close. I actually almost finished her yesterday and then didn't because I wanted to put her in my WIP Parade. Yeah. So she's a beauty. All right. So next up is my one Mira that I'm currently working on. So I've got a thing for a big dress, y'all. I love a big dress. I love like a big fancy, so I am not married, but I was supposed to get married. My wedding was supposed to be 4/4 of 2020. It did not happen. And I actually am no longer with the person I was supposed to marry, but the wedding got canceled like, I don't know, 3 weeks before it was supposed to happen. So I had the dress, like we were all ready to go. And my wedding dress was gorgeous. I hope I will still have the chance to wear it one day, honestly, but it was a big dress. I had a traditional ball gown with like a big fluffy tulle skirt. I love a big dress. I love stitching a big dress. And when I first saw this Mira, I knew that I had to stitch her because she is the epitome of a big, beautiful dress. So my one Mira work in progress is Queen Bee. And what I will say is I did not realize like quite how big the dress actually was, or like there's also the pillars and the honeycomb at the top. I did not know what I was getting myself into. However, man, it's been a great ride. So I initially had hoped to get her done for the Queen City Stitch Retreat. I started her back in October, November, I think. I don't think she's gonna be done. I still have a lot to go, but here is where I am at on Queen Bee. So I've actually gotten quite a lot done. This dress is so beautiful and is an absolute beast. I think I estimated, I think it's like 5,000 stitches and it's full coverage. Like she big. The dress goes from here to about here. And I still have this whole center section to do, and then I have not stitched anything above her neckline. There's a big ruff here, there's her face, there's like the honeycombs up here. Yeah, I don't think all that's gonna be done for October. I think what I'm gonna do is try and finish the queen for October and bring her with the queen, with the actual queen finish, and then I'll finish stitching the background after. But she's an absolute joy to stitch on. Being stitched with Called For DMC. This fabric is called Dark Gilded by Mystic Fabrics. Initially, I had wanted to put her on Hidden Treasure, which is another sort of goldenrod yellow by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, and that was a fabric of the month, and that's what initially gave me the idea to do the yellow fabric, but it was too light, and so I needed something a little bit deeper and darker, and this Dark Gilded by Mystic Fabrics is perfect. I think she's called for on Milk Chocolate. I'm not a huge fan of Witchelt's fabrics. I love color, as you can see, so I tend to choose fabrics, or want to choose fabrics that are a little more colorful. So here she is. She stays on another cheap scroll frame from Amazon. I found like a scroll frame that was like 30 bucks and bought 2 of them, so that way I can keep these on here in the hopes that I can like bead or do some of the metallic stitching and then be able to move her, because you can't do beading in a Q-snap. We'll see. I don't know how secure I would feel like rolling up the beads, but I might have to try it. So here she is. Alrighty. So, since we're on Mira and Nora's, next up I'm going to show you my most recent start. This piece is actually really special to me for a couple of reasons. So this piece is Junebug by Nora Corbett. It's a great design if you're thinking of starting and don't know where to start with Nora's or Mira's. She's little, she's cute, she's stitching up super fast. But the reason this piece is special to me is because Maggie, aka Kitschy Whips, who, if you have not seen her Flosstube, is hilarious and amazing and just like that in real life too. So yeah, you have to watch her. She makes me laugh every time I see her Flosstube. She's also one of the people who is hosting the Queen City Stitch Retreat. But she stitched Junebug on this beautiful like bluey green fabric, and I loved it. And I started Junebug on a brown fabric, and I was like, I don't like that. I want to stitch it on a similar color to Maggie. And so we were at Stitch NJ, and I actually was lucky enough to meet Maggie there, which was amazing. And we were talking, and I was telling her that I loved the color that she stitched Junebug on and how I wanted to stitch it on the same color. And she actually had a WIP that she had started on the other half of the fabric. And I went on and on about how gorgeous it was and how I couldn't find anything that was the same and blah, blah, blah. And finally, Maggie actually gave me her fabric and said, here's the other half of the fabric. If you're willing to frog out this other start I have, you can have it. And I was like, oh my God, I can't take your start. And she said, for Junebug, I would do anything. And I still can't believe that she did that, but very generously, she gave me the other half of the fabric, and I immediately frogged out what she had stitched and started stitching Junebug for myself. So here she is. Here's my start on Junebug. It's a pretty small start, but it's 2 days worth of stitching, and I feel like I already have quite a bit done. And I don't know how well you can see the color. Let me bring it a little closer to the screen. So that like bluey greeny color. So this fabric is from her Fabric of the Month Club from Grace Note Fabrics. The color is called Vivace. And they do have Vivace currently. However, I think the dye lot or the formulation or something has changed a bit since they dyed the Fabric of the Month. So while they do have that fabric and it looks similar, it doesn't have like those bluish undertones. You can see them like in here, you see the green and then there's almost like a bluish undertone. Yeah, so the new Vivace is not as blue. And I'm not a green person, to be honest, and I just didn't like it as much. And Maggie like very generously gave me this piece. So now we're going to have twinsy June bugs, and I'm so excited. And it's gonna look so good. It already looks so good. So thank you, Maggie, for this beautiful piece of fabric. And like I was not gonna start her because I didn't love what I had started her on, whatever. And then when I got this piece of fabric, I like raced home and started her immediately. And now I just want to stitch her all the time. She's so fun to stitch. So those are my 3 Mira and Nora's. I'll have to at some point do like a kit parade or a pattern parade or something, because I have so many patterns and things that I want to stitch by her, and yeah, I'm into it. Alrighty. So next up, we have my other Long Dog start right now. This is Fish and Ships by Long Dog Samplers. I am stitching it on linen dyed by Jody Favish of Steel City Stitchers. This is 36 count, I think, and I'm stitching it in B5200 DMC. I have a cone of it. So here she is. It's a very, very small start. I just started that border up. So my thing about this is I started the border and it's quite a bit of border, and I don't know, white stitches are hard, and there are some stitches in here that are like not quite perfect, and it's in a straight line. And so like, for example, you can see like right there are like those weird, that like one weird wonky stitch, and there's a couple others in that border. And so I just haven't been working on it. I do like it. It's not a lot of stitches even, but I don't know. I'm like debating taking out the border or just taking out those stitches. I don't know. And it's so hard. Like white stitches are just hard to get nice. And of course I know I'm stitching it sort of as a gift for my boyfriend, and like he would not notice. He would just be delighted. But I can't get over it. So we'll see. This one's also on a bit of a break, but I keep it out because I am sort of hoping that I will be able to go back to it soon and not notice like the one wonky stitch, but yeah. All right, next up we have Don't Feed the Plants, which the minute I saw this pattern, I had to have it. I am a huge, huge musicals junkie. I love musicals. Musicals, Broadway, all of that good stuff. I like was totally a theater kid when I was in high school. I try to go to theater as much as possible, but particularly musicals. I listen to musicals all the time, and Don't Feed the Plants, Little Shop of Horrors, amazing. And when I saw this pattern, I was like, yes, I have to have it. It is stitched on the called for fabric, which is Garden Party by Bestitch Me, using all of the called for Bestitch Me silks. And this is where I am at. As you can probably see, I tend to be a top left corner starter. Here's my start in the top left corner. I don't know that this light is doing this fabric justice. Hold on, let me see if I can like get the camera to focus a little. So this fabric is like the most gorgeous, like melon and green color. And I love it. It's beautiful. I initially was going to convert and do like a different fabric, and then when I saw like the dye lot of the called for at Market, I was like, done, I have to have it. I did not realize how huge this pattern is. I knew it had a lot of vines, whatever, but this pattern is like 16,000 stitches. It's a lot of stitches. And I do want to finish it, and I do want to put it up, and I love Little Shop. Part of me wants to stitch Don't Feed the Plants, like in the middle of the sampler. but 16,000 stitches is a lot of stitches, and I think given the number of huge projects I have, this just has somewhat gone on the back burner. I pull it out, like I said, when I want some easy stitching. It's a lot of like the green vine work and stuff. You can see, I mean, my start fits in this tiny little corner. The other thing I will say is that there is an absolutely amazing flower, like right at the top. That's sort of like the Audrey 2 face, I guess, and it goes right here. And so part of what's happening too is like I don't want to stitch that because I'm afraid once I stitch it, like I'm not going to want to stitch anything else. So what I honestly might do is stitch just that flower on like a separate, like on a little piece of Aida or something, and then get that out of my system and then like work through the rest of the sampler as I want to do that sort of easy stitching. We'll see, because I really do love the pattern and I love musicals, so I really want to have that on my wall. I own like several other Audrey 2 patterns to stitch because I love Little Shop, and yeah, hopefully I'll get through more of that someday. All right, next up is my next Carolyn Manning. This was a restart. I actually had started the large version of this pattern for a while ago, and then some other Flosstubers, Cam the Stitcher, Marjorie of Marjorie Made, the Seattle Stitcher, Megan, and Bridget the Museum Stitcher decided to do Manning May. And a lot of the shooting, well, I don't know if it's a lot, but some of the shooting star patterns by Carolyn Manning come with the big, like, you know, 80 bajillion by 80 bajillion shooting star piece, and then also come with smalls. And so I had started the big one a while ago and then decided that I wanted to try stitching the smalls instead because I knew I would not finish the big one. So I actually had started, like, I don't know, a long time ago. I had started one of the smalls 1/1 on 28 count, just as like a little travel piece almost, and I got fairly far on it actually. Yeah, I would say I'm like maybe a little over a quarter of the way through, but then I wanted to restitch it bigger and blah, blah. So for Manning May, I restarted that on 14 count white Aida. So here it is. Here is my second start of the same small on 14 count white Aida. This, I don't know, I'm not even a quarter through. Super relaxing, easy stitching, like not, you know, not hard to count. You just like pick a color and go. I actually started, did I start? No, I started this before I went, but I took this on vacation with me. I went on a cruise in May, and I was stitching this while I was on vacation, and it was like perfect vacation stitching because it was nice and relaxing. You can't really see it in the camera, but the Aida's like kind of dirty. It's gonna need to get washed. I also started another one of the smalls from that pattern down here. So yeah, that's in process. I feel like I have all of these WIPs, but what I tend to do is pick like a few things, maybe like 4 or 5 things that I like really work on, that I sort of cycle through over a period of time, and then I'll like start something else, blah, blah, but I don't know, things tend to just hang out for a while. I don't mind that though. But like I worked on this in May. I can't imagine I'm gonna work on it again anytime soon, but like, you never know, might pull it out. So next up is a tiny little start. This is one of 4 really adorable hippo patterns that I saw on Etsy when I first started stitching and was like really intimidated by, because there were blends and half stitches and all these different things, and I was like, I don't know how to do those. And now I'm a much more confident stitcher, so I decided to go for it. This is this pattern, I think. Hold on, I gotta look at my notes here. This one of the 4 is called Superstar, and it is by Nonstop Stitch on Etsy, and I believe that she is a designer from Eastern Europe based on her name, and also the fact that she uses like a bunch of blends and all of that. So here is my teensy little start on my little hippo girl. She's gonna be so cute once I have more done. What I will say is that when you look at this, it's not a lot of stitches, but it is a ton of like one stitch in one color. Then the next stitch is in like that color blended with another color. Then the next stitch is in the second color. Then the next, so it's a lot of blends. And to be honest, I don't know if it's just the lighting or like the background color I chose, but I'm not sure that I feel like the blends really make it look all that much more blended, and they're kind of a pain in the butt. So I've paused working on this. I would love to see her done. She's really cute. I might keep going and just like see what I think. I might try like stitching parts of her, like not, I don't know, not with not so many blend. I don't know what to do. I just like, it feels like if I'm putting in the work, like I want to really see it. And I don't know that I feel like you can really see like the payoff from those blends. I'm just not sure. All right. So next up is a pattern that I saw and loved when it came out at market a few years ago, and I recently snagged it. I had purchased all of the threads and everything when it first came out, and for some reason just never got the pattern. And so I recently finally bought the pattern. This is Butter Believe It by Silver Creek Samplings. And just a note, so this pattern does use Weeks Dye Work floss. Now, I'm gonna come right out and say it. There has been some controversy in the cross-stitch community. Weeks Dye Works had a fabric called Confederate Gray. And when they were called out by a stitcher in the community who felt that that was harmful, they responded fairly slowly. And there are a lot of folks who won't use Weeks Dye Works for that reason. Just as a quick explainer, I'm Jewish, and if you think about it, right, would you buy a product from a company that's called Nazi Red? Probably not. The Confederacy enslaved human beings. They enacted violence against human beings, they enacted violence against Black human beings. They enslaved Black people in America. There were hundreds, thousands of people, untold numbers of people who died and suffered enormously under the slave trade. Given all of that information, the fact that there is a color called Confederate Gray is very problematic. I know that there are shops that still call that fabric Confederate Gray. Part of the response that I have got when I have asked folks about it, particularly I've asked a couple of shop owners, and what they basically said is like, if this is what the company is calling it, if this is what it's called, then that's what I'm going to call it. Supposedly Weeks has changed their product name and it's now just called Gray. That being said, I would say it seems pretty obvious that they have not really pushed that if shop owners are still saying, oh, this is what the product is called. So for that reason, I really try not to patronize Weeks Dye Works. I choose not to buy from them because I don't think it's okay to name a color that, and when you hear from people who have been harmed by that, you need to make it right. And I don't think that they have gone far enough to make it right, to be honest. You are allowed to make your own decisions about your stitching, what products you use, all of those things. I am not going to tell you what you can and can't stitch with, what you should and shouldn't do, but for me personally, that's problematic. So I will say that I purchased the materials for this pattern before I knew about the issues that folks had with Weeks Dye Works, and there are Weeks Dye Works floss in this pattern. So I am using all of the called for colors. If I were to start over again, and if I did not already own the floss, I would have converted it or purchased something different. So like I said, back to our regularly scheduled programming. This is Butter Believe It by Silver Creek Samplings. Silver Creek Samplers? Hold on, did I write this down? Let's find out. Silver Creek Samplings, okay. And I am stitching it in all of the called for floss on different fabric. It is called for on Fog. I did not have that, so I am stitching it on Legacy, on 28 count Legacy 2/2. I particularly chose 28 count because I wanted it as big as possible. So here it is, here's my start. I love the saying, although I do think it should have said, you have a lot to say, maybe I should get popcorn. Not, I have a lot to say, maybe you should get popcorn, but, you know, 1 second. Excuse me. I also changed this. This is normally a year. I changed it and put in my initials instead. Alrighty, I'm back. I'm like a little teary from coughing, but that's okay. Oh, I just had a cold and man, I like am feeling much better, but I just have that little tickle. Ooh, okay. Anyway, back to WIPs. So this next piece I am making as a gift. I spent a couple of months in residential mental health treatment back in 2022, and I met many amazing people, honestly, but I made an amazing friend there that I've stayed close with to this day, and he absolutely loves wolves. They're sort of, he loves the symbolism behind them, and they're really like an important animal for him, and so I'm stitching a wolf for him. This piece is called Silhouette, Wolf Silhouette, let's see. It is called Wolf Silhouette. And it is by DM Cross Stitch on Etsy. And I chose, there are several different color palettes. I chose the like bluey tealy one. I'm stitching it using the called for DMC on a 32 count even weave dyed by Jody of Steel City Stitchers. Here is my start. It's just a little one. I started the moon and get in a little of the ocean. I'm stitching this pretty slowly because it has a lot of meaning for me, and I'm giving it as a gift to my friend, and so I want it to be really beautiful. So I'm stitching each stitch with great care and, you know, taking stitches out if they're not laying right and those things. I mean, I stitch everything with great care, but this in particular, I'm like really making sure my stitches are like super even and all of that. So it's probably going to take me a little longer, but I love the pattern and it'll be worth it. And I'm excited to give it as a gift to my friend. All right, we're almost done. Y'all are doing great. You're hanging in there. Okay. So my last two pieces are two starts that I did at Stitch, New Jersey. On Friday night, they did a 3-for-3, 3x3, where folks were given an hour, sort of like the 12x12 that they do for New Year's, where we were supposed to start a new piece each hour. I made it through the first two. I did have a third planned start, but I didn't make it. I was so tired. Oh, especially like after a whole day of stitching at the retreat. Woo, by the third hour, it was late. It was like 10 something and I was pooped. But my first two starts, so the first one I chose in honor of Arlene, who is the designer who organized Stitch New Jersey. Her design business is called Works by ABC, and she has a couple of really amazing lace pieces. There's one called Elegant Lace, Imogen X Stitch stitched one in black that looked amazing. Anyway, she had a piece that came out at Market this year, last year, that is a little bit smaller called Floral Lace. And hopefully there will be a photo of it here. And so I decided to start that at the retreat in honor of Arlene, the designer. I am stitching that on 28, 32, I don't remember. Count Diva by Picture This Plus. Y'all, this fabric is amazing. And I am stitching it using Cosmos Field, which is a cotton floss by Forbidden Fiber Co. It's like a very, very pale pinky, like a cool pink. And I only have a tiny little start, but here's my little start on my amazing fabric. You guys, look at this fabric. It is so pink. I love it. It is so pink. It's gonna look so good. So the way that the lace designs work are they are stitched using all one color but different numbers of strands of floss. So this section so far you can see looks nice and fluffy. There we go. Let's see. Is it focusing? Is it focusing? There we go. So you can see it looks nice and fluffy. Those are 3 strands of floss. And then you use the same color, but other sections will have 2 or 1 strands of floss. And that's how you get like a really cool textured effect on the lace. So I'm excited about that. I haven't really done anything like that before. I know Dimensions kits use different number of strands to achieve that effect. But I personally haven't tried it. I haven't stitched a Dimension kit. I think it's too fussy for me. I think I would probably like get like 4 stitches in and be like, nah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to working on that one. And then my last but not least was my second start. This is the Jan Hicks Pride pattern called Love is Love, I believe. And I actually am doing a conversion of that. So I am stitching that using paint box threads, which are hand-dyed cottons that are dyed by a small dyer in the UK. I love like the deep, rich colors. So here I actually brought my threads, okay? So here is my thread conversion for that pattern. So you can see like the richness of the colors, and these are similar to Sulky in that you don't split the threads. It's stitched with one thread, which is equivalent to about 1.5 strands of DMC. And there you go, that's the Pride rainbow that I came up with. And I bought these from a shop called Beyond Measure, which ships from the UK. They actually have packs of the paint box threads for like a ridiculously cheap. They're also like, I think these are like 50-meter skeins. That is a lot of floss. And I think one pack of 10 colors was like, I don't know, like 12 bucks. And they're really lovely to handle. So I'm really excited to stitch using these. And I did make like a tiny little start at the retreat. So here is my little start on that pattern. Here we go. Da-dun, 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 da-dun. Yeah, so it's a little start because we only worked on them for like an hour. But I am looking forward to doing more with those threads. This is a piece of 18 count earthen by Picture This Plus. And it is, yeah, it's 18 count earthen Picture This Plus, and I'm using those paint box threads. And I think I'm gonna stitch the words Love is Love in the pink that I pulled. So yeah, that's all my WIPs. Like I said earlier, I am a stitch what I want kind of person. That being said, there is a stitch along coming up. So Samantha, the Huga stitcher, is doing a stitch along for the Summer Quaker by Leila's Studio. And I am not really, you can see from my pieces, I'm not really a traditional stitcher. I don't tend to stitch a lot of Quakers. I don't really have any traditional samplers, but when I saw the Spring Quaker and the Summer Quaker this year that Leela's studio released, they're just beautiful. And especially seeing Samantha's stitching on the Spring Quaker, it was just so beautiful stitched up. I had to have it. So I have Summer Quaker by Leela's Studio, fully kitted up and ready to start on August 1st. I believe the hashtag is Live in the Sunshine Sal. I'm gonna look that up and hopefully like write it down here on the bottom. And I am going to keep working on my Miras and Noras. I want to finish beading my Sea Witch. And yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I have to say, you know, going to a retreat and getting to meet other stitchers who are as excited about the hobby as I am. I've been really lucky. I've had 2 amazing retreat experiences. I've sat with like some really, really wonderful folks who are like just so excited to have other stitchy friends, and we've all stayed in touch and, you know, text each other about our stitching and photos and all this stuff. And you know, I'm super extroverted and I love making friends and I love the stitchy community. And yeah, that's why I decided to make a Flosstube, because I love hearing about other people's stitching, and so I figured other people might like hearing about mine. So yeah, if you are stitching anything that I'm stitching on, or you see something that you love, like please comment, like, subscribe. I'm going to try to film semi-regularly. Don't want to make any promises, but my goal is to film every couple of weeks. Like I said, I'm not really a finisher. Like I don't really finish things all that often, especially because, as you can see, like I tend to pick really big WIPs, and I like work on stuff as I want. But we will see. Maybe Flosstube will inspire me to finish things. I don't know. Yeah, so thank you guys for hanging out with me for however long this video ends up being. And I'm looking forward to meeting all of you in the comments. You can find me on Instagram at AllieZisCrafty. You can email me, you can comment, you can come find me on Instagram, and let's hang out and stitch. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone. See you soon.